Every morning when you wake up, you have two choices: to let the day control you or to control the day. The words you whisper to yourself in silence can either break you or build you. If you want to change your life, start by changing your self-talk. Speak life into your soul and watch how your reality transforms. Today, I want to share with you 9 powerful affirmations you should tell yourself every single day. 1, I am capable of achieving greatness. Don't settle for mediocrity. You were not born average. You were born with the potential to rise. Every step, no matter how small, takes you closer to greatness. 2, I am stronger than my struggles. Pain is a teacher. Struggles are proof that you are alive and fighting. When challenges come, remind yourself you're stronger than anything trying to stop you. 3, I attract opportunities and success. Your mindset is a magnet. When you believe opportunities are everywhere, your energy draws them in. Stay ready and life will deliver. 4, I am focused, disciplined, and consistent. Success doesn't come from bursts of motivation. It comes from steady effort. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. 5, I am worthy of respect, love, and success. Never doubt your value. The way you see yourself teaches the world how to treat you. Walk with confidence because you are worthy. 6, I learn and grow from every setback. Failure is not the end. It is the beginning of wisdom. Every setback is a setup for a stronger comeback. 7, I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. Don't let negativity run your life. You are the master of your mind, not a prisoner of it. Choose peace, choose clarity, choose strength. 8, I add value to the world around me. Your existence matters. When you uplift others, inspire, and create, you leave behind a legacy that lives forever. 9, I will never quit on myself. The journey is long, but quitting guarantees failure. As long as you keep moving, you're still in the game. Stand tall, keep pushing, and don't stop until you win. When you wake up in the morning, before the world speaks to you, before your phone lights up with messages, before society reminds you of what you don't have, there's a voice that speaks. That voice is yours. And what you say to yourself in that moment will define how you carry yourself through the day. People underestimate that voice. They think it's small. They think it's silent, but in truth, it's the loudest influence in your life because your words shape your reality. Think about it. Every invention, every empire, every movement started with words. Somebody said, I can build this. Somebody said, I believe this is possible. And the moment those words left their lips, reality began to bend in that direction. That's how life works. The tongue is powerful. If you keep telling yourself you're broken, life will make sure you feel broken. If you tell yourself you're built for greatness, life will test you, but eventually it will reward that energy. I remember hearing a story about a young man who grew up in the toughest part of his city. Every day he was surrounded by crime, drugs, and violence. He could have told himself, this is my destiny. I'll never escape this life. And if he believed that, maybe he would have ended up just another statistic. But instead, he had a different conversation with himself. Every morning he said, I'm going to make it out. I'm going to change my life. His reality didn't shift overnight, but slowly, those words carved out a new path. He stayed disciplined, kept reminding himself who he was, and eventually he built something powerful, something that inspired his entire community. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because of the language he used on himself. That's why I always tell people, guard yourself, talk like treasure. Stop calling yourself broke. Stop saying you'll never win. Stop saying, that's just how I am. Words are seeds. If you keep planting negative seeds, don't be surprised when all you see is weeds. But if you plant words of strength, words of vision, words of resilience, you'll start seeing fruit in your life that reflects that. There's an old quote that says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's more than just clever phrasing. That's truth. When you think you can't, your brain shuts down, your energy collapses, and you stop looking for solutions. But when you believe you can, even when the odds are against you, something in you stays alive, something in you keeps searching, keeps fighting, keeps moving forward. You see, most people talk to themselves in ways they'd never allow someone else to. Imagine letting a stranger walk up to you and say, you're worthless. You're not going to succeed. You'll never be anything. You'd probably get angry. You'd probably cut that person out of your life. But what happens? Every single day, people say those exact words to themselves, and because it comes from within, they allow it. That's a cycle that has to be broken. Your words don't just stay in your mind, they manifest in your habits. A person who constantly says, I'm lazy, I can't focus, will behave exactly that way. A person who says, I'm disciplined, I'm focused, I'm locked in, will live in alignment with that. It's not magic, it's psychology. Your brain is wired to seek evidence of what you believe. If you say you're a failure, your brain will focus only on your mistakes. If you say you're capable, your brain will notice the small wins and push you to keep going. I want you to test this for yourself. For the next 30 days, choose one powerful affirmation and repeat it every single morning. Maybe it's, I am capable of achieving greatness. Say it before you brush your teeth. Say it while you look in the mirror. Say it until it feels like second nature. At first, your mind might resist. It might whisper back, no, you're not. That's because your old beliefs are fighting for survival. But if you keep at it, something will shift. You'll start noticing moments where your actions rise to meet your words. That's when you realize the truth, your words shape your reality. Now let's talk about resilience. Affirmations aren't just about feeling good in the morning. They're about giving yourself armor for the battles of life. Because let's be real, life will test you. It will push you down, break your plans, and throw storms your way. The question is not whether you'll face struggles, but how you'll respond when they come. And this is where affirmations become more than just words, they become fuel. Imagine someone training for a marathon. The body gets tired, the legs burn, the lungs feel like they're on fire. In that moment, the only thing keeping that runner going is the voice inside saying, I can do this. I will not stop. Without that inner voice, the pain wins. But with that affirmation, the runner finds another gear, another step, another mile. That's what resilience looks like. Life is the same way. You're going to have days where you feel like you can't take another step. Maybe you lose someone you love. Maybe your business fails. Maybe your closest friends turn their back on you. In those moments, no motivational video, no outside encouragement might be around. All you'll have is yourself. That's when your affirmations matter most. When you can look in the mirror, tears in your eyes, and still say, I am stronger than my struggles. You've already won half the battle. There's a powerful story about a man who was wrongly imprisoned for years. He had every reason to give up, every reason to lose his mind in that dark place. But he didn't. Every single day, he repeated to himself, I will survive this. I will walk free. I will live to tell my story. That affirmation became his lifeline. Eventually, justice was served and he was released. When he walked out of those prison gates, reporters asked him how he kept his sanity through all that time. He said, I never let my mind be locked up. My body was trapped, but my words kept me free. That's the power of affirmations building resilience. Resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about refusing to stay broken. It's about acknowledging the pain, but still moving forward. And affirmations are a reminder that you are bigger than what you're going through. I've seen people lose everything, money, relationships, health, and still rebuild stronger than ever because they kept speaking life over themselves. And I've seen people with every advantage crumble because their inner voice was full of doubt. That's the difference words make. There's a saying, a man is not finished when he's defeated. He's finished when he quits. Affirmations are what stop you from quitting. They tell you, get up, try again, keep moving. And when you hear that voice enough times, you start to believe it. Think of yourself like a seed. When storms come, the ground gets rough, the rain hits hard, the sun hides away. But if that seed believes in its nature, if it holds on to its inner truth, eventually it breaks through the soil and grows into something unstoppable. Your affirmations are the roots that hold you steady until that breakthrough comes. So when I say your words shape your reality and affirmations build resilience, I'm not giving you abstract ideas. I'm giving you the blueprint for survival, for growth, for success. This is how you rise above circumstances, how you build unshakable confidence, how you keep moving even when everything tells you to stop. Every morning, every night, every time life throws a punch, remind yourself, I am capable. I am stronger than this. I will not quit. Repeat it until it becomes who you are. Because the truth is you can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what you say to yourself. And once you master that, there's nothing that can break you. Opportunity is everywhere, but not everyone sees it. Success is not something that randomly lands in your lap. It gravitates toward the people who prepare, the people who believe, the people who carry themselves like they're already walking in abundance. That's why affirmations matter. When you tell yourself, I attract opportunities and success, you begin to condition your mind to see things that others overlook. Think about this. Two people can be in the exact same room at the exact same time with the exact same resources. One leaves saying, there was nothing there for me. The other leaves with a new connection, a new idea, maybe even a new deal that changes their life. What's the difference? It's not luck. It's awareness. One person's mind was tuned to problems, the other's was tuned to possibilities. It's like a radio station. Opportunities are always broadcasting, but if your dial is stuck on fear, doubt, or negativity, you'll never catch the frequency. The affirmation that you attract opportunities is how you reprogram your frequency. You start moving differently, talking differently, showing up differently. People notice. Doors open. There's a story about a young man who wanted to get into music. He didn't have much, just a notebook and a beat-up computer. Instead of telling himself, nobody's going to listen to me, he kept affirming, the right people will find me. Because of that, he treated every song like it was his best work, every studio session like it mattered, every performance like the right eyes were in the room. And guess what? Eventually the right eyes were in the room. Someone who had the power to elevate his career happened to be there. And because he was prepared, the opportunity turned into success. That's how it works. Opportunity doesn't knock politely. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it tests you first. Sometimes it disguises itself as hard work. And if your mindset isn't prepared, you'll miss it. There's a quote, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. When you affirm that you attract success, you're reminding yourself that your preparation matters, that your energy matters, that you don't have to chase validation. Your consistency will draw the right things toward you. People can feel belief. They can sense when you're serious. And that belief acts like a magnet. But let's be real. Attracting success doesn't mean sitting around waiting for blessings to fall out of the sky. Attraction comes from action. If you're affirming that you attract opportunities, but you never show up, never put in the work, never sharpen your craft, then the opportunities pass by unnoticed. That's why discipline is the second half of the equation. Affirming that you are focused, disciplined, and consistent is one of the most powerful commitments you can make to yourself. Everybody feels motivated on day one. Everybody talks about grinding when the idea is fresh and exciting. But discipline is what keeps you moving when the motivation is gone, when nobody is clapping, when the work feels heavy and the progress feels slow. Think about an athlete training for a championship. When the crowd is watching, when the cameras are on, it's easy to go hard. But what about those early mornings when it's dark, when the gym is empty, when the body is sore and the mind is tired? That's where discipline shows itself. The discipline to keep going when nobody's watching is the reason the spotlight eventually finds you. There's another story I once heard about a boxer. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, but he had one thing that separated him from everyone else. Consistency. Every single day, without fail, he trained at the same time, with the same intensity, even when he didn't feel like it. Reporters asked him once, how do you stay so disciplined? His answer was simple, because I don't negotiate with myself. I made the decision once and I honor it every day. That's the mindset discipline creates. People underestimate consistency. They want big wins, instant success, overnight recognition. But consistency compounds. Doing one thing well every day builds momentum. You might not notice it in the moment, but over months and years, it becomes unstoppable. The writer who commits to a page a day ends up with a book. The investor who commits to small savings ends up with wealth. The creator who commits to showing up every week builds an audience. Success doesn't show up all at once. It grows out of consistency. But here's the challenge: discipline and consistency are boring. They don't give you the rush of motivation. They don't give you instant results. They test your patience. They test your commitment. They test whether you're serious about what you claim you want. That's why so many people start but never finish. The gym is full in January and empty by March. Businesses launch every day but fold within a year. Not because people didn't have talent, not because they didn't have opportunities, but because they lacked the discipline to stay the course. When you affirm, I am focused, disciplined, and consistent, you're reminding yourself that your goals don't need hype, they need commitment. Focus keeps your eyes on the vision when distractions pull at you. Discipline keeps you working when emotions fluctuate. Consistency builds habits that turn into results. There's a quote that says, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. That's the truth. You don't become excellent by doing something once. You become excellent by making it part of your identity. When you see yourself as disciplined, you start making disciplined choices. When you see yourself as consistent, you stop quitting. And this is where both affirmations, opportunity and discipline, connect. Because the truth is, opportunity without discipline is wasted. Success without consistency fades. You can attract all the opportunities in the world, but if you're not prepared to handle them, they'll slip through your fingers. At the same time, you can be disciplined for years, but if you never open your mind to opportunities, you'll limit how far you can go. The sweet spot is when you combine both. When you walk with the belief that opportunities are coming your way, and you back it up with the discipline to be ready when they do. That's when doors open. That's when breakthroughs happen. That's when momentum builds. Let me give you another example. There was a young entrepreneur who had been working on his craft for years. He wasn't seeing much recognition, but he stayed disciplined. Every day he studied, practiced, and built. One day, completely out of nowhere, a huge investor noticed his work. Some people called it luck, but when the investor met him, he said, I didn't choose you because I got lucky finding you. I chose you because when I found you, you were ready. That's the difference. The people who attract the most success are the ones who are ready for it. They don't wait until opportunity shows up to prepare. They prepare daily. Their affirmation isn't just a phrase, it's a lifestyle. They live like success is already theirs. They work like opportunity is always around the corner. They stay consistent so that when the door opens, they can walk through without hesitation. So when you tell yourself, I attract opportunities and success, believe it. And when you tell yourself, I am focused, disciplined, and consistent, prove it. Carry those affirmations into your actions. Wake up early when you don't feel like it. Work on your craft when nobody's watching. Believe in yourself when nobody else does. Because success doesn't happen by accident. It happens by alignment. And alignment is this: your words, your thoughts, your actions, all pointing in the same direction. When you affirm success, when you discipline your mind, when you stay consistent in your grind, that alignment becomes undeniable. The world has no choice but to respond. When you wake up and look at yourself in the mirror, what you see staring back matters more than anything the world can tell you. Too many people spend their lives chasing approval, begging for recognition, hoping someone will finally give them permission to feel worthy. But the truth is, worth doesn't come from what people hand you. It comes from what you decide for yourself. When you affirm, I am worthy of respect, love, and success, you're not asking the world to agree with you. You're declaring it to yourself. Respect starts with how you carry yourself. If you don't respect your own time, don't respect your own vision, don't respect your own energy, how can you expect anyone else to? Respect isn't about being loud, it's about being consistent. It's in the way you show up on time. It's in the way you honor your commitments. It's in the way you set boundaries and refuse to let people drain you. Respect is earned, but it begins with self-respect. Love works the same way. Everybody talks about wanting love, craving love, searching for love, but very few ever sit down and ask, do I love myself? Because the love you give yourself sets the standard for the love you'll accept from others. If you see yourself as unworthy, you'll tolerate toxic relationships. If you see yourself as valuable, you'll walk away from anything that doesn't align with your peace. There's a line I once heard: never beg for a seat at a table where you bring value. That means if you know your worth, you stop chasing and start attracting. And success is tricky. People often connect their worth with their achievements. They think, when I finally make money, I'll feel valuable. When I finally get recognition, I'll respect myself. But that's backwards. Success doesn't make you worthy. Worthiness makes you capable of success. You have to believe you deserve it before you ever hold it in your hands. There's a story of a woman who worked a small job, barely getting by. She dreamed of starting her own business, but every time she thought about it, her mind whispered, who are you to do that? You're not qualified. For years, she held herself back because she didn't feel worthy. One day, she changed her language. She started affirming, I am worthy of success. I deserve to live my dream. That shift didn't magically hand her a business, but it gave her courage. She started small, learning, saving, testing ideas. Over time, the business grew. And when people asked what changed, she said, the business didn't come first. The belief did. That's the truth. Belief is the seed, success is the fruit. You can't reap what you don't plant. And planting begins with the affirmation that you are worthy. Now let's talk about setbacks, because believing you're worthy doesn't mean life will suddenly get easy. Worthiness doesn't protect you from failure. It gives you strength to rise after it. That's where the next affirmation comes in. I learn and grow from every setback. Setbacks are guaranteed. They're part of the process. Anyone who's ever achieved anything worthwhile has fallen more times than they can count. The difference between those who stay down and those who rise isn't talent, it's perspective. Some people see setbacks as proof they should quit. Others see setbacks as lessons. The ones who win are the ones who choose to learn. There's a quote that says, failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. Think about that. Every mistake, every loss, every rejection is data. It's showing you what doesn't work so you can find what does. If you run from setbacks, you run from wisdom. But if you face them, you grow stronger. I remember a story about an inventor who tried to create a new product. He failed over and over. Hundreds of attempts. Nothing worked. A reporter once asked him, how did you keep going after failing so many times? He replied, I didn't fail hundreds of times. I discovered hundreds of ways that didn't work. Each one brought me closer to the answer. That's the mindset. A setback is not the end, it's information. But here's the problem: society conditions people to fear failure. From school to work, everyone's trained to avoid mistakes, to play it safe, to protect their ego. That fear kills growth. Because the truth is, mistakes are the tuition you pay for wisdom. Nobody becomes great without paying that price. Imagine a child learning to walk. They fall again and again, sometimes crying, sometimes hurting themselves. But they don't quit. They don't say, walking isn't for me. They keep getting up, wobbling forward until one day they're running. That's human nature. Falling is part of learning. But somewhere along the way, we lose that mindset. We start seeing every fall as proof we're not capable instead of proof that we're learning. That's why affirmations matter. When you tell yourself, I learn and grow from every setback, you reframe failure. You take back the power. Instead of seeing it as an attack on your worth, you see it as fuel for your growth. Instead of letting it crush you, let it shape you. There was a young entrepreneur who launched a company that failed miserably. He lost money, investors walked away, people laughed at him. For months he hid embarrassed, but eventually he changed the way he looked at it. He asked himself, what did this teach me? What can I take from this? That shift allowed him to start again, this time wiser, sharper, more prepared. The second company thrived, not because he avoided failure, but because he embraced it. That's how growth works. The people who succeed at the highest levels aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, learn, adjust, and keep moving. Every setback is a setup for a comeback, if you choose to see it that way. And let's be clear, learning from setbacks doesn't mean pretending they don't hurt. They hurt. Losing hurts. Rejection hurts. Falling short hurts. But resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about turning pain into power. It's about saying, yes, this hurt me, but it taught me something. Yes, I stumbled, but now I see clearer. There's a powerful truth. The scars you carry can either remind you of pain or remind you of strength. It's your choice how you frame them. Some people let scars define them as victims. Others let scars define them as survivors. Affirmations help you choose the second path. When you combine these two affirmations, knowing your worth and embracing your setbacks, you become unstoppable. Because when you believe you're worthy, you stop settling for less than you deserve. And when you learn from setbacks, you stop letting failure intimidate you. Together, they create a mindset that's unshakable. Picture this: a person who knows their value, who respects themselves, who refuses to settle, who sees setbacks as lessons, and who keeps moving forward no matter what. That person cannot be broken. That person will always rise, no matter how many times they fall. That's the power of affirmations. Repeat these affirmations daily. Let them become the soundtrack of your life. Speak them until you believe them, and believe them until you live them. Because your words shape your world, and your mindset determines your destiny. Remember, greatness is already within you. You just have to claim it.